Welcome to Mediaspace Members Daily. We bring you exclusive interviews from our leadership group and other professional influencers within the media, marketing, tech community globally. Today I have with me Andrea Honis, co-founder of CircusTalk.com, the independent online professional network and resource for the circus, physical theatre and street arts industry. CircusTalk was launched in 2017 due to the lack of opportunities for industry players to connect and share information. Hi Andrea, how are you?
Hi, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
What have been the challenges to create an online marketplace for the entertainment industry to begin with, and what are the new challenges that COVID has brought to the sector globally?
Circus, similarly to other performing art forms, is a very interconnected professional ecosystem where schools, producers, artists, companies, festivals, agents, they all work together and feed off of each other's work in order to create the final product that is something that the audience actually sees on stage. Before CircusTalk, there hasn't been an online space where all of the stakeholders of this industry could meet and exchange information. Our platform grew exponentially up until the pandemic. However, now we also feel the challenges that hit this industry, and not just the circus industry, but the entire entertainment and performing arts sector. And the pandemic not only challenged this sector, I think it's safe for me to say that it fundamentally changed the landscape of it. The entire circus ecosystem has been interrupted by the virus. Circus schools had to cease their operation, and due to this art form's reliance on space and equipment, it was not always possible to continue on Zoom. International touring completely collapsed in March. Festivals that are the marketplaces and the engines of this industry are not happening now. And the very limited and in some cases complete lack of live performance resulted in furloughs, layoffs that created quite an economic challenge for both art workers and art institutions. So due to this new reality, art organization and venues whose business model partially or some cases entirely, for example, Broadway, built on ticket sales, had to start looking for alternative business models that provide them a bridge to survive this challenging time. Of course, as of now, regulations are very different around the world. In Europe, for example, theaters can operate with limited capacity, while in the US, theaters are still completely dark. But even for those venues that are able to operate with limited seats and strict social distancing guidelines, bankruptcy is still not completely out of the picture. So while by now it's obvious that we will not be able to go back to business as usual after this, the big question right now is what is the alternative business model for this interim period so that these people and organizations can survive?
What opportunities do you see for the entertainment sector with special regards to digital transformation and tech innovation?
The impact of COVID was very sudden on this industry. Within 10 days, all shows around the world closed. And this actually created an existential shock for this entire sector. Today, when I talk to people, they often describe their current state as going through grief. But I consider this grief as an opportunity for self-reflection, for reevaluation, and as a result, a lot of companies are reviewing their organizational mission and core values. There are a lot of discussion going on in the industry right now. And I'm confident that these talks will bring great results, not just artistically, but also will shed a light of the financial and infrastructural loopholes of this sector. To your original question, Lavina, about digital, yes, that's also happening. Before the pandemic, there have been somewhat of a resistance to take the performing arts online. Although quite a few organizations had been experimenting with the online format for a while, but the general consensus was that digital access would question the core essence of this art form. And that is that the performing arts only exist in the context of artists connecting with live audiences in the physical space. The other resisting factor was being afraid that digital would give an easy way for artistic plagiarism. So what have been organically and naturally happened in a longer period of time anyway, it has been sort of accelerated by the virus now. So artists and creators are realizing that digital capture doesn't necessarily take away from the live performance, but it enhances it. It creates an added value. And what is this added value? One is definitely audience. This digital revolution that we live in, that everybody started to stream their shows, a lot of them are free right now, it instantly opened up a large pool of audience in terms of accessibility, financial constraints, and geographical limitations. The other value that I see for digital is artistic. That is actually the exact other side of the coin that we were afraid of, because digital capture actually turns out to be an excellent tool for professional development, because it gives an opportunity for creators and students to see each other's work.
What's your advice for the business and regulatory decision makers to help the circus sector in the COVID crisis?
I feel myself more equipped to rather appeal to these decision makers and the audience for supporting the art sector. It's interesting, but in the context of the pandemic, arts and entertainment is categorized as non-essential. So when we are talking about the different stages of reopening, opening up theaters and performing arts venues is in the last stage. It was the first being shut down, and it will be the last to reopen. The majority of the workforce in the performing arts sector are so-called gig workers. And they are not only performers, which sometimes we mistake, but there is a huge number of support staff that we never see on stage, but they are part of the production. And even before the pandemic, their income as freelancers has been quite unpredictable. And now they don't have much reserve, and they don't have an infrastructural safety net to fall into. So this is exactly the time when it reveals that how much the art and culture is appreciated. How important is this sector for society? So just before this call, I checked out a data, and it actually reveals that the cultural sector globally provides about 30 million jobs and generates 2.25 trillion in revenue annually. This is substantially more than global telecommunication or even transportation. Yet, airline companies are bailed out, and at the same time, art institutions constantly have to prove their validity. This is all happening while we all know that the art and culture sector impact us so deeply and beyond the dollar signs. Culture is the stimulant of the society, and it's the stimulant of the society's creativity, innovation, and the social critique that today is more important than ever.
Thank you, Andrea, for joining us today. It was insightful to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next episode of Mediaspace Members Daily. In the meantime, connect with us at mediaspace.global.